Chapter 1. Why Grace is Such Good News. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8. Grace in a line. I am God's beloved daughter, and He will be enough for me today, all day. A young mother recently asked me what I would say to the younger version of myself if I had the chance. Without hesitation, I knew what I would say. Don't be so hard on yourself. God gives grace. She sighed and replied, How do you do that? Her question prompted me to think of how often I have underestimated and failed to rely on the grace of God in my parenting. Grace is one of those words Christians use all the time, but it needs to be understood before we can start to appreciate the gift that it is. Biblically, grace is God's favor bestowed on undeserving sinners without any basis of merit. God's gifts of spiritual and earthly blessings are all grace. We have been saved by grace through faith in Jesus Christ, and we are being sanctified by grace through faith as well. Every breath we breathe comes through grace until we are in our eternal home, which itself will be a gift of grace. In the Christian life, everything is of grace. Grace applied. When my kids were young, I knew God had saved me by grace, apart from my own works. What I didn't understand was the importance of preaching grace to myself, needing it into my life every day. Without realizing it, I was still living according to the law. I was trying to please God and live His way by using my natural strengths and abilities to be a good wife, mother, and friend. But in all my striving and busyness, I was becoming overwhelmed with all the good things I was trying to do, until one day I collapsed on my bed and cried, Lord, I can't do it all. And in that moment, God's grace was there to meet me, as I sensed the Spirit whisper to my heart, I never asked you to. God began to show me ways that I was focusing more on what I was doing for Him than on what Jesus had accomplished for me. I didn't have to do it all because Jesus had done it all for me and continued to pour His grace out onto my life day by day. Of course, we are called to do good works and to live holy lives, but we can only do that in a God-glorifying way by keeping the glorious truths of the gospel front and center in our lives. So I began to ask God to show me how I could experience the joy, freedom, and fruitfulness that were available by His grace. God taught me first to remember that our salvation is in Christ. It's all about grace, and that the way we continue in the Christian life is to work out our salvation. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. We are saved by grace, and we live by grace. For it is God who works in you, both to will and to work for His good pleasure. Verse 13. Even the power to obey God is through His Spirit, a gift, a grace. The same grace through which God saved us continues to flow to us each day in countless ways that bless us and show His benevolence towards us. God gives us gracious gifts of family and friends, provides for our needs, strengthens us in our weakness, and equips us with all that we need for the work He calls us to do. From His good hand come gifts of laughter, tears, restful sleep, beautiful sunsets, restored health, protection, and comfort in our griefs. Everything we have been given is an undeserved grace from our generous Father.